Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Merrimack College's Financial Aid webinar tonight. I'm happy to have you here. And for those of you who may not know, we are going to record the session, so the information will be available for you later. So I want to go over for you who I am. My name is Annette MacMullin, and I am the Director of Financial Aid here at Merrimack College. And tonight I'm going to go over some of the financial aid details for you here at Merrimack, as well as potentially some other details for you in general about financial aid. So tonight's agenda includes the types and sources of financial aid for you, how to apply for aid, our 25-26 timeline, how to fill the gap, meaning your financial aid may not cover all of your expenses, and how we can help you do that. And at the end, we will have a Q&A session for you. However, throughout the webinar, if you do have questions, you may place them in the Q&A. So we are your top tier education made affordable. So here at Merrimack, we are committed to help you make an education here at Merrimack affordable by being accessible to you on the lower cost to attend. So 99% of our students receive a scholarship or grant, which averages about $25,000 a year per student. So that means that some students receive more than that, some students receive less than that. However, we are very generous with our scholarshiping. And with that, we also have guaranteed tuition and housing scholarships. So we do provide that up through your 8 semesters of your undergraduate portion of your program if you are in a standard academic program. Not all schools guarantee scholarshiping. However, that is something that we do here at Merrimack. We also are instituting a new program this year, which is our BA in Humanities program, which is an exceptional value for you because the cost for the tuition annually is only $17,000. So that is something that you might want to consider if you are interested in a humanities degree. There may be some institutional aid that you are eligible for, and that will be determined upon your application and our receipt of both your admission application and your financial aid application. So funding your Merrimack education can be done in several ways. You and your family are the primary responsibility for paying for your education. However, Merrimack College, again, does have merit aid. We have need-based aid. There is federal and state aid, financial aid available. And there are external aid sources that you can apply for as well on your own. The combination of all of these things will help fund your Merrimack education. The types and sources of financial aid that could be available to you. Again, Merrimack College offers grants as well as scholarships, and that's free money. So you always want to try to apply for the free money when you can. We offer over $110 million annually here at the college for our students. So that is very significant to you, the student, because we care about your education. Massachusetts offers grants and scholarships as well if you are a resident of Massachusetts. And there are some educational loans that they do offer. It is limited, but they are available. The federal government offers grants, work study, and educational loans as well. Here we have listed the websites that you can go to look at these various options. The external sources is something that you have to do on your own for research. So scholarships, you can check for scholarships at your high school, your local library. Some of the community areas offer some scholarships as well. And then there are private education loans. Now, those can be where the student is the borrower and you have a credit-worthy cosigner. You can peruse through some of our listings on this website here under types of aid that we offer. That could be a very good resource for you because anytime you can look for scholarshiping outside as well as what you get internally is only going to benefit you. The types of aid that we offer are merit-based and need-based. So the difference between the two is that your merit-based aid is going to be based on solely your achievement, meaning either your academic, your artistic, or your athletic abilities. And it may or may not be renewable at your colleges that you're applying to. Some of them may have requirements. Here at Merrimack, we don't have a separate application for you to file. We just look at your holistic application through the Common App or your FAST app through Merrimack. It could vary by institution, the merit-based aid, as I indicated. So you want to check your institution's websites, and other applications may be required there, but again, not here. So that's something that you don't have to worry about doing extra. Need-based financial aid is going to be based on your family's financial circumstances, and that's your information combined with your parent information in the most part. So the eligibility is determined by a standard formula, which is using the FAFSA. So that's the free application for federal student aid, and we'll get into the detail about that in a moment. Eligibility could include grants, again, which is free money that you do not have to repay. Loans, which are offered that do have to be repaid, but over a period of time. And work study, meaning that you can work while you are in school and receive a paycheck for your incidental expenses. However, for need-based aid, you must be making satisfactory academic progress toward your degree. We do have very good standards here at Merrimack for that. So you don't have to keep a certain GPA to keep your scholarship or your grant. And if you should fall below what the satisfactory academic progress standards are, you will still receive your institutional aid here at Merrimack. Your scholarship will be turned into a grant while you are trying to progress toward your degree and working with an academic advisor. Please note that most financial aid is need-based. So if you were to receive a Merrimack grant from us, that would be based on financial need for filing the FAFSA. One does not have to file a FAFSA to receive merit-based aid, but you do to be considered for need-based aid. To apply for financial aid, you must do the free application for federal student aid, which in the short form is called a FAFSA. It is now available for you to file. So if you have not yet done so, it's not too late. We don't have a specific deadline. We would like you to apply, however, as soon as you are able to, because the sooner you apply, the sooner we will be able to respond to you. We will respond once a student is accepted. You may not receive it at the time of your exact acceptance, because right now in the early process, the government has just opened the application recently. So it takes time for them to process and to return your information to us. And then in turn, it takes us a while to process too on our end. So we will be getting information to you if you have filed your FAFSA as soon as we are able to. FAFSAs are required by all colleges, especially if you're looking for federal student aid. It must be completed each year. You can now, if you have not already done so, create a student and a parent, what is called FSA, Federal Student Aid ID and password. Create it now because the FAFSA is now available and you can go ahead and do the FSA IDs and you can do the FAFSA. You'll want to file your FAFSA at this address here, studentaid.gov. Keep this in mind because studentaid.gov is a place where you will return for many other things, which I will explain also as we go forward. As a FAFSA information contributor, you and your parents' information from the IRS, if you filed tax returns, will automatically be pulled into your FAFSA directly from the IRS as long as consent is provided. And consent must be provided by a primary contributor and you, the student. This is some information about what you will need to report on the FAFSA. Sometimes people get confused about what parent information should be provided. If parents are married legally, then you must include every parent in the household, parents that are married. All parents who live together that are biological parents of the student, if you're not married but you do live together, both information, income information, must be provided. Divorced or separated parents, a custodial parent, and their current spouse's information must also be included. These questions will be presented to you once you go on to the studentaid.gov and begin the FAFSA process. And also, legal guardians are not a parent, so information, if that is your situation, for a legal guardian does not have to be included. However, adopted parents have to place their information on the FAFSA as a contributor. The household, number of people in a household will be asked for if you want to provide it. Now, IRS information is going to pull the exemptions from the 2023 tax return for the FAFSA. However, that information can be updated. So for example, if your parents filed their 2023 tax return and there were 4 exemptions on there, but let's say, grandma or grandpa has moved in and more than 50% of their support is going to be provided by the parent, then they can be included in the household for the upcoming academic year. You're also going to include the colleges that you're applying to so that they all receive your FAFSA. You will also get presented the question about the number of family members that are in college other than parents. The federal government has made the determination that they will no longer include that information in their calculation, but you can provide that information on the FAFSA. So we cannot, unfortunately, do anything about the requirement of that, but just note that the federal government's decision on that was based upon the fact that they understand that families do have more than one children in a lot of cases that do have to go through the college process. But whether they are in school at the same time or whether they are 4 or more years apart, they still have to pay for the education. So they have determined that in the calculation for that year, it's not going to make a difference. Other information that you're going to report on the FAFSA is the parent and the student income. So both taxable and untaxable income questions will be presented. Again, if you file the tax return, that information will automatically be pulled in. There may be instances where parent and student assets are going to be requested. If you are presented with those questions, some important items to note is that things that you will include will be the savings, checking, investments, and any other property. However, what you're not going to include is a primary home residence. The value or the debt is not taken into consideration in this calculation. You're not going to count the value of a retirement fund because that does not need to be included as an asset, nor does a life insurance policy. So if you do have these things as a family, you're not going to need to present that. However, consumer debt is not reported. So if you do have, let's say, car payments or credit card debt, they're not going to ask you that information on the FAFSA. So that debt is not going to be taken into consideration, but they will take into consideration an overall estimated contribution for assets overall for families, and they do discount as well based on several other factors. As you prepare to complete your FAFSA, again, you're going to create your FSA ID. Again, if you have not done that, what I always tell families when you are doing that, it's really important to choose separate email addresses and separate passwords because you cannot share them. If you do, you'll run into very difficult processing edits, and you don't want to have to do that. So once you do create it with the separate email and your separate passwords, you're going to want to keep those in a secure place because you are going to need them in the future to sign either promissory notes, loan entrance counseling, if the student or the parent is going to enter into any federal loans, and you're going to need that to sign electronically your FAFSAs going forward. So it's really important that you keep that in a secure place once you do apply for them and receive it. If you do already have one as a parent for another student, yours will work going forward. However, you're going to need to have a separate one for the student. So each student needs their own FSA ID and password. If you're looking for an estimate of what your SAI may be, you can use the Student Aid Estimator, which is also on the studentaid.gov website. However, you may not need to do that at this point because the FAFSA is available and literally takes only a few days to process. The federal government has improved their process from last year to this year. So the wrinkles that they were going through appear to have been ironed out this year. Your FAFSA result, once you file, will give you an SAI, which is called your Student Aid Index. Now, that is not the amount that you have the ability to absorb in one academic year of college costs. However, it is used to calculate what remaining funds a college may be able to provide to you as a student and the programs that are available either through the college or through the federal government. The college uses the same FAFSA result for each family as far as the federal formula is concerned. Some colleges may also use an institutional financial aid formula, such as the CSS profile. Currently, Merrimack College does not have that requirement. So you only need to file the FAFSA for this academic year. Please note again that the family does have the primary responsibility for paying for the education, and the federal government reviews financial aid as a supplement to that. Here's an estimated financial aid timeline for you. So as of December 1st, the FAFSA became available for everyone, and you are now able to go in to studentaid.gov and do your FAFSA. We recommend that you do it as soon as you can so that we can receive your information into our system and begin reviewing it. We expected Merrimack to receive most of the FAFSA data and to review them sometime in January. In late January, for those students that have been accepted, we expect financial aid offers to begin for the early action, early decision 1 applicants. We will send you an email letting you know that there's a new letter in your admission portal to view once that has been released. Also, financial aid offers will be mailed to you at a later date. In February, financial aid offers will begin for our regular decision and our rolling decision admission applicants. So here's a little bit of information which we will get into more detail with you once you've been accepted and you come to an accepted student day. We can look at your actual award information. In the meantime, you might want to consider applying for outside scholarships. So we've provided on our website some information about how to apply for those. And again, you can do that by going to your high school, your local library, and/or your community areas. Student employment. That's also a way for you to earn some extra funding while you're a student. You can apply for Merrimack Aid Work Study either through the federal government or through Merrimack. So in the summer, late summer, we provide information on how to apply for a job on campus. It could be either federal work study or student employment. We will determine that upon your eligibility once you apply and are accepted for a position on campus. Most students only work a limited hours a week so that they can focus more on their studies. So most students, I would say on average, work maybe 12 to 15 hours a week, but you can work that out with your supervisor. Other ways to fund is a private loan, which is a private education loan, not necessarily a private personal loan. You always want to try for an educational loan because they will give you the best benefits regarding interest and payment repay. Students will apply for private loans as the main borrower with a credit-worthy cosigner. If there happens to be a change in your family's financial circumstances since you applied for financial aid through the FAFSA, they are going to ask you for your 2023 information. If your family's financial circumstances, if something has changed, then we will have available, once the new year begins, what is called our dependent special condition form. You can fill that out and provide us with your parents' 2024 tax information and/or other documentation that will explain your individual circumstances. We recommend, however, that you wait until you receive your actual financial aid notification once you've filed your FAFSA so you can see what your aid package is. Also, changing residency. So if you are in commutable distance and you are able to commute rather than living on campus and you initially applied to live on campus, you may change your residency to be commuting student. If you do so, we will then repackage your financial aid accordingly, and your costs could potentially be lower. We also offer a payment plan here at Merrimack. We have a 6-month, a 5-month, and a 4-month payment plan. So you don't have to choose any one of these options. You could choose many of these options if that fits into your family's individual circumstances. You can do a combination of these things, or you can choose to do one of these things to satisfy what you will owe for the academic year. The bottom line is that we are here to invest in your future, and we want to help you through this process. So no question is a silly question, a dumb question. We know that sometimes this is the first time that you've been through this process. So we really want to do the best that we can to be where you are to help you as an individual. So let us help you. Here's some other options that you have. We are available, again, at our accepted student days. We are also available by phone, by email. We're happy to do a Zoom meeting with you if that's where you are and that's what you would like to do based on your schedule. You can go to our website to gather any information that we might have in our financial aid section. And again, just reach out to us, whatever individual questions that you may have. And just to give you a visual, here is our financial aid team. And even though you will be assigned an individual financial aid counselor as part of your award information, we all work together as a team in our office so that if one is not available, there will always be someone here to help you. We are located in the Warrior One Stop of Austin Hall. So we are happy to have you as a walk-in as well. And our hours are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. So with that, we will now address whatever questions you may have. So we do have a question here. If parents are divorced, do both need to file the FAFSA? No, it's just the one who supported the student the most in the last 12 months. Another question, can a change of major affect the school granted scholarships? That is a potential yes, because we do have our new humanities degree. So students that are accepted in a humanities degree have a much lower cost of attendance, so they potentially would receive a lower scholarship from us due to the lower cost of attendance. If you do change your major into a higher cost, then that would be a different assessment. Another question, do we have to apply for aid? We own some property and we're told not to bother as we will not get anything. That's typical, and I always tell everyone to file the FAFSA regardless because A, it is free, And B, the federal government is trying to make it easier for families to go ahead and apply for federal student aid. So let's say there's a change in your family's financial circumstances, and then you have to contact us and say, what do I do? At least we would have your FAFSA on file already. At minimum, a student would be offered a federal direct unsubsidized loan, and that would be in the amount of $5,500 as a first-year student. So if you were going to, apply for federal student aid and want your child to have some, what they call skin in the game, and have a $5,500 loan that they would have to repay later over 10 years, then it's beneficial to file the FAFSA. If you're saying, I'm just going to pay out of pocket regardless, that's totally up to you and your family. But if something does happen, God forbid, if there's something, where a family member loses a job or something, we could assess your financial situation a lot easier and collect the documentation needed if we originally had the base information on file for you. So just consider that. I would say, you might think that it's a little bit painful to file, but it might be beneficial in the end. Students do not have to take the loan that's offered. They can decline it. Another question, how are tuition payments divided up over the course of the academic year? So we bill based on the semester. So students will receive a bill sometime in July. They will receive an email that will tell them that their bill is ready to view, and they will then go out to what is called CashNet. On CashNet, they can assign another party or parties to view their bill. And that person would then be able to see what the billing information is. So that's just for the fall. And then again, sometime in December, that same email will be sent to the student that says your bill is ready to view for the spring semester. So we bill on a semester basis. Another question, once you begin the FAFSA application, can you save your progress and return to it at a later time? Yes, you can. You may save your data and then come back. Another question is, I know the federal government doesn't take the number of kids in college into consideration. Does your school separately take into that consideration for twins? We do have, if they're enrolled simultaneously, if you have two students that are enrolled at the same time as undergraduate students, we do have a discount for the family. And it's 10% after scholarships and grants. Payment plans that we offer are 6-month, a 5-month, or a 4-month plan based on a semester. So that means that you would, if you wanted the 6-month plan, you would then enter into it in June with the estimated amount. You can then change your amount going forward once the bill comes through. The family chooses the amount that you would like to place on the payment plan. There is a $55 enrollment fee for the semester, and then you would re-enroll for the spring semester if you wanted to do a payment plan again for spring. Another question, are there any scholarships that you don't take? We will take whatever outside scholarship a student receives. However, it does have to be built into the financial aid package overall. So if a student were to receive a smaller amount of scholarship, let's say $500, it may not make a difference with their need-based aid. They happen to receive a generous scholarship of $10,000, but received some Merrimack grant assistance that was need-based. We do have to assess what the overall financial need would be. However, just to tell you, we do take away the self-help first. So self-help means loans. We would reduce any subsidized portion of any federal direct loan that would be offered before we would reduce any of our institutional aid. So the loan could potentially be turned into an unsubsidized loan. But typically we do not reduce our funding for outside scholarships that a student may receive. Another question about tuition payments. Can they be charged on a credit card? Yes, they can. However, there is a service fee that comes along with that. I'm unsure of the exact amount, but you may pay by credit card. Another question that came in, if a student receives a merit scholarship for their academics, will it limit their amount of need-based aid? It's a great question. So without getting into like the really detailed information about it, is that a student's need is determined based on their overall cost of attendance, which includes direct costs and indirect costs. So tuition fees, room and board are direct costs. Things like transportation, personal expenses, books, those are indirect costs. So that constitutes the total cost of attendance. We subtract out your student aid index. That gives us your financial need. We do have to take off the top the amount of the merit scholarship that's offered, and then we will determine need-based aid for the remainder. Now, here at Merrimack, we are unable to offer 100% in a lot of cases of need-based aid. I'm not saying that your need may not be met by some of our need-based aid, but most cases it's not, because institutionally we do give out a substantial amount of funding, but we're not able to always meet 100% of the student's calculated financial need. So it may or may not be limiting, but it is definitely taken into consideration when you do have a merit scholarship for us to be able to award need-based aid. What is the cost of attendance for the upcoming academic year? That information is going to be provided to students once they are accepted. We have the estimated costs right now, but we don't have the actual costs, which do have to be approved by our Board of Trustees. So we will provide the estimated costs for those who have not or are not going to be filing for financial aid with their estimated cost of attendance letter upon acceptance. When a student does file their FAFSA, then we will also include the estimated costs on the financial aid offer. It seems like we've answered most of your questions, and I thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.